Hello, divers. We are back from our summer break, or, as I like to call it, time served. Don't ask. So welcome to the Season 8 premiere of the Deep Dive Podcast. I can't believe it. No, seriously, why am I still doing this? No, anyway. I'm Tom Feeney, podcaster and purveyor of pop culture propaganda, searching beneath the surface of what seems to be the ordinary, the mundane, the pedestrian. In other words,
Mysteries of the Deep.
This time, we dive into serious spoiler territory for movies that are pretty spoiled already. Now, there are films with happy endings, films with sad endings, films with twist endings, but we're seeking out those with the worst endings. Of course, this is all subjective, but there are some movies that, well, ended so badly, they have become almost legendary. Perhaps the biggest offender here is a writer-director who is almost a brand name unto himself. M. Night Shyamalan, the man who made movie history for coming up with one of the best endings in film with The Sixth Sense.
I see dead people.
Yeah, we know, Haley Joel Osment. Move on. Well, after the success of The Sixth Sense, Shyamalan apparently felt he had to keep having twist endings in his films to stay relevant. His follow-up, Unbreakable, was also a big hit, but the film after that, well, let's just say there were signs. Things weren't going as planned.
For years, the signs have been appearing. On August 2nd, the world will discover their meaning.
Look at where it's bent over.
Can't be by hand, it's too perfect.
And what one man believes
Don't be afraid of what's happening.
may save his family.
They're in the house.
Mel Gibson,
Here it comes.
M. Night Shyamalan's Signs.
There's a monster outside my room. Can I have a glass of water?
Rated PG-13. Everywhere August 2nd.
Now, while the Mel Gibson starring film did pretty well at the box office and was considered to be a critical success, the twist was one that really made no sense whatsoever. Now, here be spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled during this episode, just listen for the spoiler bong. Ah, there it is. Now, in the film, a former priest, played by Mel Gibson, lives on a Pennsylvania farm with his 2 children and younger brother. After discovering mysterious crop circles in their cornfield, because where else would you discover mysterious crop circles, the family begins to experience increasingly strange and threatening events, hinting at a global alien invasion. The family ultimately has a final confrontation with a lone alien being that is threatening them. And during a struggle with the creature, water from glasses placed around the house begins splashing on the alien, burning it. The family realizes water is toxic to these creatures. Water. Really? Think about that for a second. Here we have these advanced alien beings that traveled light years all the way to Earth and somehow don't realize that there is water literally everywhere. 70% of this planet is covered by it, not to mention all of the water that's underground. Oh, yeah, and in clouds. So that would be like humans trying to take over a planet covered mostly by sulfuric acid. Makes no sense. But it was after Signs that things really started going off the rails. Shyamalan's next project was a kind of creature feature without any real creatures.
writer-director M. Night Shyamalan.
We have always had a gentle understanding with the creatures who live beyond our borders.
Nothing you've ever imagined.
There are marks on the door.
Nothing you've ever experienced.
This color is not allowed. It attracts them.
Nothing can prepare you for
Never enter the woods. That is where they wait.
The Village. Starts July 30th. Rated PG-13.
Once again, with 2004's The Village, we get a decent movie ruined by a preposterous ending. The film is set in a small, isolated 19th century village surrounded by woods believed to be inhabited by terrifying creatures. The villagers have a strict agreement to never enter the forest, and the creatures, in turn, stay out of the village. Sounds reasonable. But when a young man is gravely injured, Ivy Walker, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, must venture into the forbidden woods to seek medicine. During her journey, she discovers that the creatures are, in fact, humans in costumes, created by the village elders to keep the community isolated from the world. That is, the present-day world. It's not the 19th century after all. It is the 21st century. The film ends with Ivy reaching the outside, a present-day society, revealing that the village is a secluded sanctuary hidden from modern civilization. The elders chose isolation to escape the violence and trauma of the modern world. Where do I sign up for this? Anyway, so it's basically a human wildlife preserve. While on the surface, that may not sound like a terrible ending, but just like Signs, the revelation does not hold up to any real scrutiny. For example, how did the elders keep modern air traffic or technology completely hidden? And could such a secluded community realistically go undetected in modern society? It really stretches credulity, and it kind of pissed off audiences, myself included. Now, the final shame on you, Shyamalan, must go to the worst movie on our list.
There appears to be an event happening.
Did you hear that?
What's going on?
We lost contact.
With whom?
Everyone.
The Happening, a film by M. Night Shyamalan.
We just have to be alive when it's over.
Rated R, Friday, June 13th.
2008's The Happening, starring Mark Wahlberg as a high school teacher, which already strange credibility right there. In the film, he and his wife flee a mysterious, rapidly spreading phenomenon, causing people to suddenly commit suicide en masse. Initially believed to be a terrorist attack or chemical weapon, the events are soon theorized to be a natural defense mechanism by plants, releasing neurotoxins into the air when they sense a threat from humans. Eventually, the outbreak seems to end as suddenly as it began. Okay, what? So, what? The plants are out to get us? Like right now? Even though humans have been cultivating them and consuming them since man first walked the earth? They must really hate vegans. Wow. Now, The Happening was, without a doubt, one of the dumbest movies of the 2000s, and it, along with his prior film to that, the truly WTF Lady in the Water, and his subsequent failures, After Earth and The Last Airbender, crippled M. Night Shyamalan's career. Now the director has managed to pull himself out of the motion picture dungeon with films like Knock at the Cabin and last year's Trap, but it was a rough go there for a while. Let's hope that the rest of his career is free from any more bad twists. The next film on my list is one that I saw during its original theatrical release, and immediately wish I hadn't. To quote from one of the late Roger Ebert's books, I hated this movie.
Jacob Singer is afraid. When he walks down the street, people are watching. When he comes home at night, people are waiting. Jacob Singer is running out of time. This fall, Adrian Lyne, the director of Fatal Attraction, brings us a disturbing new vision. Jacob's Ladder.
Yes, the 1990 horror/drama/hot mess, Jacob's Ladder. I remember disliking this film as I was watching it, and hating it even more after it ended. In the film, Jacob Singer, played by Tim Robbins, is a Vietnam War veteran suffering from terrifying hallucinations and a fragmented sense of reality after returning home. As he tries to piece together his life in New York City, he's haunted by visions of monstrous figures, shadowy government agents, and memories of his time in Vietnam. He doesn't know if he's going insane, being targeted in a conspiracy, or experiencing something supernatural. There are even hints that his unit may have been exposed to some kind of experimental drug. Now, the movie is meant to be surreal and disturbing, but it just winds up giving me a headache. It looks like it was edited with the Cuisinart by someone wearing oven mitts. Yes, it is a confusing, disjointed mess of a film. Oh, but here comes that twist. It is revealed that Jacob is actually dying from a bayonet wound sustained in Vietnam, and the entire film has taken place in his mind during his final moments of life. His visions are supposed to represent his internal struggle to let go of his life and accept death. So you're basically wasting 2 hours of your life waiting for an interesting explanation of events, only to find out that none of it was real and just a deathbed hallucination. I remember being actually physically angry walking out of the theater. And keep in mind, that was 35 years ago. I wouldn't be that disappointed again until the last season of the TV show Lost. Now, Tim Burton is a filmmaker who has experienced very high highs and very low lows in his 40-year career as a director. Now, here's a guy who in his first decade directed films like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Batman, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, and Ed Wood. And there have been subsequent efforts that were not so well received. Alice in Wonderland, Dark Shadows, the remake of Dumbo. Did you forget about that one? And of course, my next pick, Planet of the Apes.
Come in, over. Where am I?
On July 27th.
How the hell did these monkeys get like this?
From the director of Batman.
Oh, go ahead.
And Sleepy Hollow. Comes a world that defies the rules. And an adventure that rules the planet. Kill them all. Planet of the Apes. Rated PG-13. July 27th, only in theaters.
The 2001 reimagining of the classic 1968 existential sci-fi film looked amazing. Had great makeup and a stellar cast, including Helena Bonham Carter, Tim Roth, and Paul Giamatti. And, hey, Mark Wahlberg as the lost astronaut. The premise is similar in the remake. An astronaut crash lands on a world dominated by intelligent apes who rule over primitive humans. Now, in the original Apes film, astronaut Charlton Heston, fleeing from those damn dirty apes, sees a broken and battered Statue of Liberty by the shore, realizing in horror that the alien world he crashed upon was, in fact, Earth in the far future. Awesome ending. So how do you top that? Well, it turns out you don't. In the remake's climax, our intrepid astronaut attempts to return home. Then he lands on what appears to be Earth, but it's now ruled by apes, and a statue of genocidal ape General Thade stands in the Lincoln Memorial where Abraham Lincoln's statue once was. That's a real head-scratcher, that one. How? Why? Huh? It makes no sense. Wahlberg travels back in time, but somehow the evil ape general got back sometime before him with no ship and a statue that replaces one that was erected in 1922. Yeah, it's ridiculous and comes across like a cheap stunt to try to replicate the shock value of the original's ending. Very disappointing. See, this is what happens when you monkey around with a classic. Okay, sorry about that one. All right, friends, I have saved the worst for last. While you have likely heard of most, if not all, of the previously mentioned films on my list, this one you probably haven't. It's one of those cookie-cutter found footage horror movies, cheap to make and generally awful to watch. I give you 2012's The Devil Inside.
The subject is Maria Rossi.
Maria, I'm your daughter.
I need to find out if she's possessed. Please help my mother.
This is a combination of science and religion.
Listen to it.
I'm dried apple.
Who are you?
Everyone knows me. The Devil Inside, in theaters January 6th.
Now, the film deals with a woman who delves into the world of exorcism to try to find out what happened to her mother, who was accused of murdering 3 people while allegedly possessed. So was the mother actually possessed? Is she still inhabited by demons even now, while locked up in an institution? Does anyone care? Not really, no. Normally, a film like The Devil Inside would ultimately be relegated to the bottom tier of streaming services like Tubi or Prime Video after a brief theatrical release. If not for one little thing. The ending. There wasn't one. The movie ends abruptly after a car crash involving the main characters. That's it. That's all you get. Oh, but wait, there is more. In an act of sheer madness, right after the screen goes dark, a title card directed theatergoers to a website for more information on the case shown in the movie. Yes, you heard correctly. You had to, after the movie ended, go online to a website to find out what happened after the fact. At the time, and to no one's surprise, social media briefly lost its freaking mind. There were calls for refunds from distributor Paramount Pictures. Videos were posted on YouTube of furious audiences booing the ending. It felt like a cheap gimmick, because it literally was. Thankfully, no one has been dumb enough to try that stunt again. Well, I think that's enough terrible endings for now. Hopefully, all your endings will be happy endings. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Hold on. Thanks for listening. If this is the first time you've heard this podcast, shame on you. Also, check out our past episodes, available on almost all podcast providers, and subscribe so you don't miss a single one. If you like what you hear, write a review. We'd love to know what you think. You can drop us a line at thedeepdivepodcast@gmail.com. And you can find our other episodes at thedeepdivepodcast.com. Next week, it's another edition of Hollywood Hype, when we look at comedy imposters. What does that mean? Well, you have to listen to find out. All clips used in this podcast are meant for educational purposes only and not to infringe on existing copyrights. Mysteries of the Deep is part of the Deep Dive Podcast family and a production of Automaton Studios.
That's all, folks.